Behind the shadow of the Great Wall of China, there is a spiritual awakening that has surprised many. In a country with a complex political and cultural system, Islam is growing rapidly. Today, more than 30 million Chinese people have embraced Islam, a number that continues to grow from year to year. What is really happening behind this phenomenon? Who are they? And how did Islam develop so rapidly in the Bamboo Curtain country? The history of Islam in China has actually been going on for more than 1,400 years. Islam first entered China through the Silk Road during the Tang Dynasty around the 7th century. Muslim traders from Arabia, Persia, and Central Asia brought this religion to China along with goods, culture, and knowledge. Over time, Muslim communities began to develop in various provinces such as Xinjiang, Ningxia, Gansu, Yunnan, and even big cities like Beijing and Shanghai. The Hui and Uyghur ethnic groups are two of the most well-known as Muslims in China. But now there is a wave of converts from the Han ethnic group, the majority group in China, who are interested in Islamic teachings. According to reports from various research institutions and international organizations, the trend of conversion to Islam in China has increased sharply in the past 2 decades. In the digital era, many Chinese Muslims use platforms such as WeChat and local apps to preach, share knowledge, and strengthen brotherhood. Despite strict supervision of religious content, the creativity of local preachers has created an innovative and down-to-earth approach to preaching. One interesting phenomenon is the increasing interest of young people in Islam. Many of them have never known religion before, began to seek the meaning of life through online discussions, underground religious classes, and reading translations of the Quran in Mandarin. China has more than 35,000 mosques spread throughout the country. Despite challenges in religious practice, such as religious regulations and restrictions on public activities, the spirit of the Muslim community remains undiminished. Behind the numbers and sensitive news, there is the reality that Islam continues to grow with deep roots in Chinese society. Even in its limitations, Islam has found a way to touch new hearts. This phenomenon is not just statistics. This is a story about the search for meaning, about faith growing in places we might not expect. China may be known as the world's economic giant, but behind its majestic city walls and industrial giants, there are souls who have discovered the light of Islam, and their numbers are growing. This is the other side of China, a place where Islam is growing slowly, quietly, but surely. The Chinese government has imposed strict regulations on religious activities, including Islam. These rules include restrictions on the construction of new houses of worship, supervision of missionary activities, and the removal of religious symbols from public spaces. In some areas, these restrictions even extend to education, where children are prohibited from participating in religious activities until they reach a certain age. The biggest challenges are experienced by Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Many international reports mention human rights violations, including mass detentions, bans on worship, and cultural and linguistic repression. However, it should be noted that not all Muslim communities in China experience the same thing. In the provinces of Ningxia and Yunnan, the Hui Muslim community is relatively more accepted and can practice their religion more freely, although still within the limits supervised by the government. Interestingly, it is precisely in the midst of these restrictions that many Chinese Muslims become stronger in their faith. They overcome limitations by strengthening social networks, forming small learning communities, and building strong solidarity among fellow Muslims. In fact, they create innovations in preaching based on local culture, such as using Mandarin calligraphy to write verses of the Quran, or creating video content that describes Islamic teachings in the form of traditional poetry. First, the development of Islam in China will continue despite the challenges. The emergence of Han converts is a sign that Islam has a cross-cultural and cross-ethnic appeal. Second, Chinese Muslims are increasingly connected to the global Muslim world through technology. They can access sermons, digital Qurans, and discussion forums from abroad, albeit under tight supervision. Third, the younger generation of Muslims is beginning to dare to show their identity, not through confrontation, but through moderate, tolerant, and peaceful cultural expressions. In this global era, the rise of Islam in China is not just a statistic, it is a human story. about the search for the meaning of life, the strength of faith, and the hope for a better future. China may never become a Muslim country, but it is clear that Islam will continue to grow, quietly but with ever deeper roots. A single soul who receives guidance can be the beginning of a great change. And now millions of souls in China have found the light of Islam. Let us pray for them, our brothers and sisters who are far from our eyes but close to our hearts. May Allah make their struggle easy and make us part of the dawah that unites people throughout the world. Of course, let's continue with a closing segment that reinforces the moral message, invites the audience to reflect, and provides a strong and meaningful call to action. This can also build an emotional connection with the audience or listener. We who live in a country with freedom of worship, with mosques on every street corner, easily accessible sermons, and an open Muslim community, are we truly grateful? Have we maximized the blessings of faith that Allah has entrusted to us? Many of us were born as Muslims, but sometimes forget what it was like to discover Islam for the first time. Meanwhile, in China, millions of people are willing to take a lonely, risky path for one sentence: La ilaha illallah. They memorize the Quran in secret, pray without a loudspeaker, and preach without the spotlight. But precisely from these limitations, extraordinary sincerity and belief grow. So, let us help their struggle, not only with money or material, but with prayer, information support, and building awareness of the community. And for those of you who are seeking guidance, who may feel empty in your life, know this: guidance can come from directions you least expect. If in China, where there are so many restrictions, millions can find Islam, then wherever you are, the door is open. The truth is there. And when you seek it with an honest heart, Allah will surely guide you. And remember, the journey to the light is not about how fast you get there, but how sincerely you walk. There is no need to wait for perfection to start. Just one right intention, one small, sincere step. That is enough for Allah to open the way. Look at those in the remote areas of the country who maintain their faith amidst pressure. They are not just surviving, they are growing, because they know faith is a gift, not an inheritance. So do not take for granted the blessings you have. Use the time, freedom, and knowledge you have to get closer to Him. And for every soul who is thinking, asking, and searching, may you find answers that soothe your heart. Because Islam is not just a religion, it is a light, a guide, and a mercy for anyone who is willing to accept it. And when that light begins to greet your heart, do not hesitate to open the door. Maybe you will cry, not because you are sad, but because you feel like you have come home after being lost for so long. Maybe you will feel alone, but know that there are millions of souls around the world who are praying for you without ever knowing your name. Islam is not about being perfect, but about continuing to return, continuing to learn, continuing to love God despite falling repeatedly. Like those who prostrate themselves in hidden chambers in China, like converts who learn to read Al-Fatiha with difficulty, every effort is noble in His sight. And you who are reading this now, may be at the beginning, but from that beginning, an extraordinary journey can begin. Be patient, ask questions, get closer to the Quran, listen to your heart, because maybe this is the time.